Welcome back. Both chambers of Congress back in session today with just weeks to go before the August recess. Talks about a third reconciliation package expected to pick up again this week. Senior House Republicans planning to meet tomorrow to discuss that. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth also expected to visit lawmakers this week for talks on defense funding. The Pentagon asking for $80 billion to pay for the war on Iran. Joining me now is Missouri Congressman Jason Smith. He is the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Mr. Chairman, always great to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
It's great to be with you, Maria.
Well, I mean, months ago, you came on and we talked about a third reconciliation package. I asked you if it was realistic, and here's what you said then. Watch.
The chances for passing two reconciliation bills is extremely difficult. We're seeing that even with the skinny reconciliation bill that just funds border and ICE. A third reconciliation bill will be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
But don't count out the Republicans in the House. We've always been able to find a way at the end to go across the finish line, but it is getting more difficult with less time. We are just a few days out before the election when it comes to legislative days.
Yeah.
And you still have to fund government. You have to address FISA. You have the Farm Bill. So there's a multitude of things that have to be addressed before some of the other.
So, Congressman, are you still there? You previously said you would not support a third reconciliation package for all those reasons. If tax provisions are not included, is that still the case?
Now, I definitely support a third reconciliation bill. I've supported all the reconciliation bills, but I stand, Maria, by the fact that we only have 30 legislative days between now and the election. 30. So we have fewer days than what we did when we discussed this several weeks back. So it's going to make it more difficult. But guess what? We still have to fund government. We still have to reauthorize FISA. We still have to address the housing bill. We still have to address the Farm Bill. Those are things that's on the table that has never been done. The only reason, Maria, why reconciliation is even a discussion is because of the 60-vote filibuster rule in the United States Senate. And so, like, if we can get the senators to actually join in together and support a third reconciliation bill, it's doable. But I think it's harder. If you look at the very, very first one, the big, beautiful bill, we lost 3 Republican senators, and J.D. Vance had to make the tie-breaking vote. I think you would lose more than that right now on any reconciliation bill with the environment that you're seeing in the United States Senate.
Well, I mean, I don't understand that environment. Can you explain that to us? I mean, like, for example, the housing bill. Let's talk about something that seems quite, basic and benign. The housing bill, which is supposed to be a positive to help with the affordability message. Did the housing bill not get 396 yes votes in the House? And we still don't see it on the floor of the Senate? Why not?
It did. The revamped housing bill on the House version passed with overwhelming support. It appears, based on the negotiations that I'm seeing, that the Senate will take it up and send it to the president's desk, which they should. It doesn't make sense that they haven't yet. It's the same way with the Fostering the Future initiative that is the First Lady's initiative. It passed out of the House with 100% of Republicans and Democrats voting for it, but for some reason it's still dangling over in the Senate.
Exactly.
I don't understand why, but it should get delivered to the president's desk.
And also dangling is the Save America Act. This is an 80% issue. The public wants to know that there are rules in place to have people prove citizenship in order to vote, and yet the Senate can't get behind it?
I think that's a common sense measure for the fact that, you should have to be able to prove whether you vote and make sure that everyone's treated fairly and that their vote counts. Like you said, it's an 80% issue. It's something that should be delivered to the president's desk, and let's hope that they ultimately break their gridlock over there and they get this through.
I spoke with Senator John Thune recently, and the answers to the questions I asked him was always the same. We don't have the votes. We don't have the votes. Here he is when I asked him about the Save America Act when he brought up the filibuster. Watch this. What else would go in a third reconciliation package?
Yeah, and that's the question. There are some things, there are a handful of things that sort of got left on the cutting room floor in terms of tax policy, but a lot of it would be probably money for defense, national security, and some waste, fraud, and abuse measures to help pay for that. And there are other things we can do in that space. But we did a ton of great tax policy. We did major entitlement reform. In fact, we did more entitlement reform in the Senate, if you can believe that, than the House had when they sent the bill over, which is hard given the obstacles that we have, but with the Byrd rule and everything else. But it was a very successful outcome, and we need to make sure we give those policies a chance to be implemented. And if you talk to any business leaders, and you do and I do, they will tell you that that is really key to the investment decisions they're now making, and that coupled with the regulatory environment. And I think energy policies will be a big part of it, and I think as the things start to we get clarity in what's happening in Iran, I think that is going to start moving in the right direction as well.
People want to be able to have rules in place that you show ID, that you have proof of citizenship to vote. How come we can't get this across the finish line?
Well, because we don't have the votes. And for me, it's a function of math. And we are. And it's a popular issue with the American public. But the Democrats in the Senate have block voted against many of the things you just mentioned. And we have put those votes on the floor. The issue with respect to the parliamentarian is one where, even under reconciliation, it has to be principally about budget and not policy. And Save America would not be at a 51 vote threshold. It would be at a 60 vote threshold under the rules.
So what are your expectations then, Mr. Chairman? What gets done before the midterm elections? And do you believe the House can keep the majority in the midterms?
First off, I'll just say, whenever you hear them say we don't have the votes, are they referring to 60 votes to break the filibuster or 51? That is the most frustrating thing. And
Right.
I'll tell you, the United States Senate, Maria, needs to be prepared, because I don't trust the Democrat Party. We have seen them shut down government twice now for the longest in history, and we are facing it on October 1st, another funding of government. And if the Democrats, Maria, try to shut down government on October 1st, the United States Senate better do something about it and make sure that they fund government with 51 votes if they have to break the filibuster. Because the last thing that the American people want to see is Congress to not work efficiently and to allow the Democrats to shut down government 5 weeks before the election. It would be absolutely catastrophic. In regards to the House, Maria, we're going to win the House. I feel better about the House of Representatives staying a majority than the United States Senate. When you look at the gamut of toss-up seats, it's really relatively 16 to 18 different toss-up seats, and I would take our candidates any day over their crazy candidates that they're electing in their primaries.
Well, that's what we were just talking about, and that in and of itself, Liz, might actually save the Republicans, these crazy candidates that they're putting up against Republicans.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be some backlash against this far-left crew that is running. But Congressman, I share your frustration about what's going on in the Senate, and I don't understand why Thune will not agree to have a single issue bill on the floor, just voter ID. Forget all the other stuff, proof of citizenship and stuff, but make Democrats vote against something that, as you point out, is popular with 80% of Americans. I just don't understand why he won't press them on this very simple vote.
And by the way, you need citizenship proof. It's not just voter ID, because they're giving licenses out like it's candy, driver's licenses in many Democrat states. Congressman, am I wrong?
You're exactly right. This is just common sense. The American people are frustrated because they don't see why this is not happening. We've passed it multiple times out of the House of Representatives to get it over to the Senate. They just need to pass it one time.
Yeah. They can't do it.
All right, Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Mr. Chairman, we so appreciate your leadership. Thank you, sir.